You think you know Russia? You've seen the Red Square, heard stories of vodka and cold winters, but I promise what's coming next. You've never heard it told like this. From Soviet shadows to wild borderlands, lost towns, secret trains, and people that'll change how you see the world, this is 30 years of real adventure in the world's largest, weirdest country. Russia isn't just a country, it's a feeling. It's cold and wild and confusing and beautiful. It stretches across 11 time zones and feels like a whole world on its own. And for the last 3 decades, travelers, explorers, and ordinary people have lived through some of the craziest, most unforgettable experiences across this massive land. This isn't just a history lesson, this is a raw, personal, wild journey through post-Soviet Russia, like you've never seen before. And it all starts in 1991. So here's the question. How do you even begin to understand a place as massive, as misunderstood, and as mysterious as Russia? Is it the land of spies and strongmen, or is it a place of poets, kindness, and adventure? The truth is, Russia has changed so much, so fast, that even Russians struggle to keep up with what their country really is anymore. But there's one way to get close to the truth. Go there, talk to the people, get lost, make mistakes, and live to tell the stories. This video is built on those stories. From backpackers on the Trans-Siberian Railway, to expats drinking tea in freezing yurts in Buryatia, to war photographers in Chechnya, and old Soviet babushkas still waiting for Lenin to return. This is the real Russia, told through 3 decades of unforgettable moments. Let's go back, right to the collapse. It all starts in December 1991. The Soviet Union is officially dead. Gorbachev resigns. The red flag over the Kremlin comes down. And just like that, one of the most powerful empires in history collapses overnight. In the streets of Moscow, people were confused. One man who'd been selling fish on the black market told a journalist, "We won, but I don't know what we won." For travelers, Russia in the early 90s was like the Wild West. Everything was new, and nothing worked the way it was supposed to. One traveler, an Australian named Mark, flew into Moscow in 1992. He was carrying a Lonely Planet guide printed before the collapse. He gets off the train at Leningrad station, and the city is suddenly called St. Petersburg. The ruble is worthless. People are selling army gear and icons on the streets. He spends 2 hours just trying to buy bread from a bakery because no one had change. He called it the most confusing and thrilling place I'd ever been. But that's nothing compared to what came next. In October 1993, Russia came this close to a full-on civil war. President Yeltsin ordered tanks to fire on the Russian parliament. People were running through the streets. Gunfire echoed through Moscow. One French backpacker, Luke, was stuck in the middle. He was staying in a hostel near the Kremlin and heard gunshots at night. He said, "Luke, I looked outside and saw people carrying TVs and refrigerators. They weren't protesters, they were looters, and yet even in all the chaos, people were kind. A stranger on the metro walked him to safety. They didn't speak the same language, but it didn't matter. Luke says it best. Luke, Russia might be cold, but Russians aren't." The mid-90s were wild. Russia became the land of new money, mafia, and madness. Westerners flooded in. Some came to teach English, others tried to strike gold with oil and telecom startups. One American guy, Dave, came to teach in 1995. He lived in a Soviet-era apartment in Yekaterinburg, where the elevator never worked, and the neighbor's dog barked through the wall every morning. He got paid in cash, rubles stacked in paper envelopes. He once said, "Every month I thought I might get murdered, or married. Bars had no menus, nightclubs had no rules, but somehow, in the middle of all this, Dave said he fell in love with the country. He stayed for 12 years. You can't talk about Russia without the Trans-Siberian Railway. 7 days, over 9,000 kilometers, Moscow to Vladivostok. It's not just a train ride, it's a moving village. People share food, play cards, talk for hours. One Canadian woman, Rachel, wrote it in 1998. She didn't speak Russian, but an old man offered her pickles, black bread, and vodka. She ended up getting invited to a wedding in Novosibirsk just because she smiled and helped the babushka with her bags. Rachel said, "It was the longest and best conversation I ever had, without saying a single word." Let's not sugarcoat it. Russia has seen war too. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Chechnya was a war zone. A German journalist, Eric, snuck into Grozny in 2000 during the Second Chechen War. He wasn't chasing clicks. He wanted to see the truth. He found buildings turned to skeletons, children playing in rubble, and mothers who hadn't heard from their sons in years. He said the scariest part wasn't the gunfire, it was the silence afterward. That silence haunts Grozny to this day. Deep in Siberia lies Lake Baikal, the oldest and deepest lake on Earth. Travelers call it Russia's mirror. In 2005, an Indian backpacker named Suraj spent 2 weeks there with a Buryat family. He lived in a wooden house with no running water. Every day started with tea and stories. He learned that the Buryats believe Baikal is alive, that it listens, that it punishes those who disrespect it. One night there was a storm. The family prayed to the lake. I came looking for nature, but what I found was a heartbeat. By the late 2000s, Moscow had changed. Gone were the empty shops and mafia shootouts. Now it was all neon lights, luxury malls, and sushi bars on every street. But under the surface, still the same contradictions. You could ride a Tesla through a city built by Stalin. You could sit at a hipster cafe and look across the street at a Soviet bunker. Moscow is like a high-tech haunted house, flashy on the outside, deeply haunted inside. Russia is more than Moscow and St. Petersburg. It's Dagestan, Tuva, Kalmykia, Chukotka, tiny republics with their own languages, cultures, and myths. A couple from Brazil drove through Dagestan in 2013. They were stopped by locals, not for passports, but for tea. One man asked, "Why would anyone come here?" They replied, "Because no one else does." He smiled and said, "Then you are welcome." COVID hit hard. Russia closed off again, but something shifted. More Russians started exploring their own country. Van life became a trend. Road trips across Altai, Kamchatka, Karelia. Foreigners couldn't come in, but Russians went deeper, and they started telling their own stories from the ground up. The world stopped watching, but Russia kept moving. So, here's the thing. After 30 years, after wars, wild rides, laughter, tears, long winters, and weird train food, what do all these stories tell us? That Russia isn't a country you just visit. It's a country you feel. It changes you, it confuses you, it breaks you down, and then, somehow, warms you back up with a smile, a story, or a shot of vodka. The real Russia isn't in the news. It's in the train car with strangers. It's in the villages no one's heard of. It's in the way people still wait for spring, even when it's minus 30 degrees Celsius. 3 decades of unforgettable adventure in Russia wasn't about the places. It was about the people. The woman who gave her last loaf of bread to a traveler. The soldier who cried at Lake Baikal. The stranger who shared tea on a mountain road. Russia doesn't try to impress you. It dares you to look deeper. And if you do, you'll never forget it. If you enjoy our journey, please like and subscribe to our channel, and if you like our content and want to support me, you are welcome to buy me a coffee. The link is in the description box below.